Yo, Minia meda wasi bebre. Minia no nyina Christ asomdwe nka mo.
Enka also.
Me network no e wo fam kakra nti na mamma video no nti me ye na audio no se de be ya ebetumi agina so e de amayen. Na edi kan anwumre meda Holy Name Society for ye mema e was in Luke meda mo ase bebre. E wo sa dwumadie a mudi agu akwan mu ni chaplain Father Ernest ne ye meka ya soro no nsusu nyina chaplain ne parochial vicar ye Father Fred Ajeman madam nyina ase bebre na akwanya nwumre ye beche awurade asem kakra na ye botaya ye gina so ye afiwe mu nyina. Our general theme is prayers backed by action is the key. Empire enwuma ewom ene ye nsafwa safwa ye di bue ye da achene eye mpaebo a enwuma ete kire anase mpaebo a yetu ho anamon enan kasa ye no ya tudin say Lord teach us to pray. Luke 3 duba ko chichemu ba ko Luke chapter 11 verse 1 Ewrade kire yen mpaebo enne ebotaye no eno no na ansa na yebetoa so no mepese yebehye enema bi nso me ni emema na ekasa yi niema bi ho da makoma so pa me giri se ehia yiye ya esese merima yete ase ne yehye no nso. There are some points that I want us as men to really grasp because they are so important as introduction to the topic of today. Edikai me pese yehunu de me frɛ no say the urgency of a defined agenda for Catholic men. I repeat, the urgency of a defined agenda for Catholic men. Here pa se Catholic marima ya botaya esi ani so anasa botaya esi ani so ye betumi apemu pa yie na yehunu no pote se ye mbotaye pa enesen na de nti ama qualify no with urgency ne se emre nhede ni ho mayensa sa botaye we sese nka ye ya chepa enso ye da hote ho kamia ye me se Catholic marima na enye ye marima no ye mfomso ye ne a ye ya asofo ne bishopfo ne asori mpanyimfo nom na ye da marima na no. We have not defined an agenda for Catholic men. Now, ye were Catholic men, Ghana, United States, so Europe, Catholic men have a certain social club mentality, not necessarily a kingdom agenda. Yehunu merima kuo ni say mema chia merima nya na mom yehunu no say onyame wo botai bi pa wode ahye ye nsase esese ye ya onyame odi gya atoso ya esese ye that there is fire of God on it that we need to embark upon as God's agenda for us. We don't have it. Now, say Europe and America, omudi gidie no bra yen Ghana. Say omunu gidie no akoye cultural Christianity. Enti emerima no nhede ni botaye sa. Nti ama Ghana nso so emerima no ye nhede ni botaye de ma ye ho sa. Uko Ghana say emerima no emududu majority of the men belong to no society. We St. John and a night of St. John, the night of Marshall, Eddie Sinchaya, and a cry a merman ma and a men's society, Uko Ghana, Merima Kakrebi wom, very few men. In fact, Ghana and Prano, Merima there are certain dioceses where we don't even have Catholic men mobilized together. So ba a man no any ye cry three solid societies, Christian mothers, Catholic women, and St. Teresa. And watching so every other society, we have women in them. Marshall, St. John, they all have women with them. But Catholic men are least mobilized. So our energies are being dissipated and lacking no direction. Now, this introduction is very, very important to me so that at the end of this year's program, we don't just run a program for a society, but we define an agenda for ourselves going forward, because it is so crucial, critical, and urgent. Where there is no agenda, there is no passion. Say, nipa wohona se onibutaye bipa esire ni so say, we na me bo brama na we na mi wu ama, say nipa no owo ho a onhye da mohye na oni nam ye ene nkanyan. And where there is no passion, there is no commitment. In PMP, we complain about lack of commitment on the part of our men, lack of commitment on the part of our youth, lack of commitment. But the reality is there is no passion. And there is lack of passion because there is no defined agenda. And so commitment derives from passion, and passion derives from defined agenda. Let's note the following. Many of the Pentecostals now have an agenda for even their men. Church of Pentecost, for instance. Muslims have an agenda, especially for their men. Secular humanists have an agenda. LGBTQIAA++, they have an agenda, well-defined agenda globally. Atheists have an agenda. Even Satanists have an agenda. Where is the Catholic agenda and Catholic men's agenda? It is so crucial, so urgent. And Catholic men must have well-defined focus for which to live and for which to die. Otherwise, we shall be wasting away within the church. And those of us who have come together must now begin to define that direction and that agenda for ourselves. And I'm praying that our coming together today will initiate that process and that journey of defining an agenda for ourselves. Only Catholics, and especially the mainline churches like Methodist, Anglican, and so forth, lack a clearly defined agenda. And as I've said, without a well-defined agenda, vision, and strategy, we become moribund. We are on the path in a descent, we are on descent and on to death. And therefore, the men hold the key to the future of our women, our youth, and our children, which is what makes prayer backed by action is the key. The word key is zeroed in here. Very important. Safwa. Catholic marima yeni yekuta emano ene emabunu ene nkwadano omo da achen safwa ewo yen Catholic marima ewo yensem. And every generation is defined by the following: the challenges they have, the opportunities they have, all within a certain time frame. Say Catholic merima enei yena nyame aye yadoma yegina ya naso no. There are certain challenges we are facing. There are certain opportunities that we are looking at, and all of that within the constraint of a certain time frame. And we need to urgently respond to it, to define that agenda, and to move forward with it. And therefore, to define that agenda, there is call for three things. 1, prayer. 2, strategy. And 3, action. That is what our theme defines. To define our God-given agenda, we need 3 things or 3 steps. 1, prayer. 2, strategy. And 3, action. Se nyame botaya a wode ma ye no sie behunu na yatu ho anamon na yaso ho aba. De di kan ye mpaebo. De tosu mienu eye anisuade hunu a ye nwono ho anamontuo. Na de tosu miensa eye anamontuo na nkasa ye betu ene ehu nnwuma no a ye beyo no. Mpaebo ye nisuade hunu ene ehu anamontuo. Na miensa ene bema onyame botaya a wode ma ye no yensa beka. Mpaebo no emu ne behunu de de nyame akoma so. It is within prayer that we know what is on God's heart. We don't come together as men so we will meet our needs. No. We meet as men so we will define, discern, and identify God's purpose and what is on the heart of God for us. What is God's agenda for us? Prayer helps us to discern that agenda. And as we pray, and then begin to catch a sense of what the Lord is expecting of us, we define strategies to reach that agenda. And then our actions will be based upon those strategies aiming at that agenda. So, when we take the first step, prayer, or say, Lord, teach us to pray. I love it. Second aspect, strategic action. Knowing and understanding your spouse and your children, or strategy and action. NA is on prayer, the first step, which is, Lord, teach us to pray. So now we come to the topic for today. Now, I want you to look at Luke chapter 10, the ending. You would see that Jesus goes to pray. And after the prayer, the disciples ask him, Lord, teach us to pray. So, first of all, Lord, teach us to pray. First point, I'm basically say, this is a request from the disciples of Jesus. Adisua dia edika ne say, eye adesrede ya asuafo no na esre awurade say awurade kyerɛ yɛn mpaebɔ. It's a request. And I want us to take a look at the fact that it is a request, the request aspect of it. Eye adesre awurade yesrew kyerɛ yɛn mpaebɔ. So the question is, what necessitated this request? Eye die nkura na ma asuafo no wo mo sre awurade say onkyerɛ wɔn mpaebɔ. Saa desre efiri hin na eba. Eno na say yehwɛ die die animu die ba ya ansa na request no ba na Jesus ankasa wode no ho adosuko wɔ mpaebom. Jesus himself was immersed in prayer, and as he comes out of prayer, the disciples ask him, Lord, teach us to pray. I love this. Say, Christo frim mpaebom eba ye no. What do you come mpaebom no? O frim mpaebom mu pie ene na suafo no say awurade kyerɛ yɛn mpaebɔ. Said the John so kyerɛ na suafo no. From the nature of the from the fact of this request, the amount of prayer produces a certain contagion. Jesus frim paibomu, no frim paibomu pie no, and a siafo no sre no say, on chire mpaibo. E dia no muhuniye, they saw something, they smelled something, they felt something. Omuhunu bibi, omuhuyɛ bibi, omuti bibi nka. Na de omuhunuyɛ ehuaye ete ne nka no, eno ene pusu omo ema omu bisa sa bisade no. It is from what they smelt, what they saw, and what they experienced, what they felt, that evoked in them a certain need for prayer. Therefore, prayer is contagious. Se uye mpaibo fo mpaibo no tesane mpaibo esane mpaibo ekanyan ye memba yi saa desua yi ehia pa ewo ya brabom. That contagion is what produces hunger in the hearts of the people. Se mpaibo no de mpaibo asra no enku bi ene ehwa bi etufiri mpaibo no mu na sanku no ne ehwa no eno na ne tefori nipa no a na ama ekom bia di nipa no wone kra mu se saade no opebi enti tefori no ena ma ekom edi nipa. It is the contagion that produces inner hunger for it, for prayer. And it is that hunger in turn which engenders passion to learn, teach us. Na sa kom no a edi nipa no ne kra mu no enu ne pusu no na wahwehwe se ade no ne farabai ni hini onu nsusu ohia bi obehwehwe na obesua. Ajanom mesramo mienhya ne nso. Where there is no contagion, there is no hunger. And where there is no hunger, there is no desire to learn. Babia empaibo entem for yano ana hunhum adum bia entem for nipa no. Ehon kom eni nipa no. Na ade a ehon kom eni nipa no nso no. Oni pepa so odi besua. Empempi ya na Roman for say yasofo yetaka ukasa agidifo no omomra nkyerɛkyerɛ a womma ekuo no mu no ukasa kuo no womomra a womma die ntia no se ade na yese wommeye no ehon kom ene won. It feels like we are scratching where it does not itch. Baby a nipa no say baby a enya ne hene utiti a on twemaw na mom said de ya ne hene no utiti a na wo twipiaw na watiti no more. So it looks like because we have not spotted the contagion of grace, the contagion of spiritual things, of the things of God, adia denyame akoma so emma meda yen yakoma so emma ho entem fore wona wodi yedi wonanim enti amade yen ya hwehwe no ana dwumade ye di no ehon kom enni nipa no omudi yachi no enti womu ni pepa so omudi besua de ye pese womu mesua no asechire no se ye pe adesua bi afiri we mu a ene na Catholic memma wanyame yi yense ye fie ya ne ye asofo we yemfie ya ne ye akyerɛkyerɛfo yemfie ya ne ye fie no ni ti no ene na ajanom ye wa asambo ne po adesua de a edikan a ye bo ne po nie o freyen enabuta ye freyen se yenye marima ya do suko wo mpaibo mu na se ye pie firi mpaibo no mu a ye mpaibo hwia ye mpaibo ni hwam no atia fore ye yerenom ne ye manom ne wona yedi wonanim na saa te fore no ama mpaibo ne honhum mu ade no honhum adom no ehon kom ade won kra na se honhum adom no ho kom de won kra wo ba pra hwehwe se obesua na wanya ye memar bebre wono ma ye yerenom bompa ya omo ye hi. First of all, man do no empire no omo bone empire ya kono anyway ti enye your fault because ono no bayifuo bi eye no ho empire na busuam ni difuo bonsuo bi tro bi a wadi akere no na ba no gina so na ode ho akom kyene ne de na da bia wo bufa so nti eye sa na e mema na hi nti ya mpem kwa ahwe but oba onyame asam da nakoma so pa ana barima onyame asam da nakoma so no onyame botaya owode ma na sori owode ma wiase na henie na owode ma abusua no se eda papa nakoma so na eda maame nakoma so a empa bona nkasa eyi hwe bia dia se hwa no etwe te sa magnet se eni ye mu a ema ye yerenom ebe ye den se ombedi achi so mbesua afiri ye ho de tosu mienu ose nti mepamachaw mapese ye be kan bibi ade afiri 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 8 ose I desire then that in every place the men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger or quarreling. Also, that the women should adorn themselves. I desire that in every place the men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger or quarreling. Me pese babia emarima ebebo mpaye na wama ensa kronkron so a abufuo ene okon ana chiye bia enim. In every place the men should lift holy hands. Enti sesei ene yabutaye yampaya yeboni that the Lord will raise men on whom rests the aroma of prayer. When yamim peja merima nempa bohua ewe yenso. Men whose prayer fragrance induces hunger and evokes passion in our spouses and our children. And merima yampaye ekenyan yampaye hwano ekenyan ekombi ewo ye yerenom ne yemam ne wo mo yedi wo manim ene asorema no emu. Sa marima yi ene ye bom pa ye sa afi holy name awurade ma ye sa adom. The second aspect American na me de masem ye ba wiye ni. This request is more about teaching than praying. Was the Lord teach us how to pray? Was it awurade kire yen empaibo nti sa request no sa bisade no eyen kire bisade enya mpaibo ne keke eno nso so ye point ya me pese yesua pa ye hye ne nso that the request is more on teaching and learning rather than on actually praying. Adentia good praying comes from good teaching. Empaibo papa efri enkyerɛkyerɛ papam. Mr. Dear friend Albert Mutu Mutu na eyede de mayen. Enti good praying comes from good teaching. Nkyerɛkyerɛ papa ena mayen hunu mpaibo papa. Prayer comes from one's belief. Se obi bebo mpaya empaye free die nipa no ogidie mu na gidie nsusu free nipa no ninim die mu. So yansha nso prayer comes from one's belief and belief comes from one's knowledge. So if we move backwards where there is wrong knowledge or lack of knowledge, there is wrong belief or lack of belief. And lack of belief is called presumption. And where there is lack of belief, there is wrong prayer or lack of prayer at all. So right knowledge produces right belief, and right belief produces right prayer. Entina ose nimdia me mai nintino wayira. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Yesha no nso hanso so adisuade ba ni yesua nie. It means that what people need is teaching, not just praying. Catholic asorimu enchire pa ne ade aye number 1 ehia mini anom me yansha nso Jesus ni dwumadi a obedi ye no enchire ye over 60 about 67% of Jesus's ministry 3-year ministry was devoted to teaching. I take it again. Over 67% of Jesus's ministry was dedicated to teaching. Now, if you take 67 out of 100, you are left with about 33. So 33% and they are devoted to prayer, healing, casting out demons, feeding, raising the dead, and everything else. But teaching was over 67%. That is why Jesus was called rabbi, teacher. What that means is that, and I've shared this with my brother priest anytime I give priest retreat, that in our pastoral paradigm, teaching must form a greater chunk of our pastoral ministry. Asofo yedwumadie no enkyerɛkyerɛ se it take a greater part, and the early church understood this very well. Mubeka ibra na Greeks no ni Hebrews no na omu che nnuane akasakasa abam ewo Acts chapter 7 and 8 no no kan say 7 8 was say enya ma yen se yebegya empaebɔ ne asɛm no som no ho na yakɔkyɛ nnuane ewo pono so. Munyi mu nipa bi no honhom kronkron ni nyansa ne adom aye woma na yemfa sa adwumadie no nhyɛ wonsa na yemfa ye ho nsi ho ma empaebɔ ene asɛm no som, prayer and the ministry of the word. So the apostles defined their focus and their priority right, because that's what Jesus did. And we a bishop, we a sofo. Na wa nhwe ya nkyerɛkyerɛ de nkyerɛkyerɛ no wonya bi. Sentulu kukra de amoya ade o. But mukɔ Ghana, apart from say yeba kwesiara na mpo uba abrofi o masɔre no. Uba abrofi o masɔre na wuyi kwesiada mass homilets and ye weekday pray homily no no 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes. Sunday is supposed to be 7 minutes, 5 minutes. So for economy, it drew 15 minutes. You lose the people. How in the world is the mind of the people who come to church? How are we going to offset that with a 7-minute omelette? How? So what exactly are we doing in the church? How do we expect, what kind of change do we expect? But do we even expect a change anyway? And the American are very, very, very urgent. Say young Catholic marima, say yan so butayebimu, not young fire one see what say. We will be superintending over a dying church, and we will be steering a sinking ship. That's exactly what we should be doing. Enti ose, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. Nimdia mimainienti wayira. The fact is, if we don't seek knowledge and put teaching first and prioritize systematic, cumulative, formative teaching in the church, faith formation in the church, for our men first, and our men becoming mentors and leaders in teaching our youth and children, and then the women will come. Wherever you have the men and you have the youth and children, the women will follow. Obabia de nabawo obeko de nukunu obeko wunye nukunu ne naba oba obeko samadi animu na omo na ebo mpaye eye nkyerɛkyerɛ. Forget about Nyama Omokanas as you in any Omokan society to the children. It is the man who must provide spiritual leadership. It is scientifically research has proven that when in faith, in matters of faith, when the woman is the one who is active and trying to pull husband and children, the success rate is 17%, 17%. When the child is the one who is active and trying to pull mom and dad along, the success rate is 3.6%. But when the men are the man is the one who is active and pulling wife and children, the success is 96.2%. It's clear. That study was done here in the United States by Presbyterians. Scott Hahn quoted it in 2015 when they had the year of the family and the Pope came to the United States. If you listen to the talk that Scott Hahn gave that day, he gave those statistics. So Berima and the DNI success rate near 96.2%. Or ban the DNI, our home, our fear success rate near 17%, less than 20%. It means that Catholic men are not leading. They don't have an agenda and they are not providing the leadership and they are not the ones teaching. This is crucial. And when Timmy Masam no baby, the yes, a free women so say Catholic are sorry or Kasabi. Some Nahobia Yakato, your friend say Lex Orandi, Lex credendi, lex orandi. The law of belief is the law of prayer. In other words, one prays out of what one believes. If you want to know what people believe, listen to what they pray. And if you want to know how they will pray, observe what they believe. The American and you quote the China boni trimuko, the Catholic are sorry dipano, no me money application no. And that's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus was a model of prayer and he taught them how to pray. Now the Our Father is not a prayer. It's not just a prayer ritual. The Our Father is really a prayer format. So strictly speaking, the Our Father is not what the prayer itself is supposed to be. But the prayer is the Our Father covers the themes that are to be covered in the prayer of a Christian. Yeneja wasrono. Enyampa ya Kristo aka say yankana ya erono panin ka yamfa nyampa ebono. Said there be a Jesus ebekọ ni mkoto yanim no yeneja wasro udina ho nte wahiniemra. Nyasa na Jesus e kira no no. Na Jesus o mayen empaye botaye anase empaye etiri etifinsem. Sa wokwa mpaabo na wo bo a eya hyase afiri ha ufiri ha na wabaha ufiri ha na wabaha ufiri weso na wabaha de edi kan pa ne se hyase afiri se wagya a owosoro na obo ne mpaye na woni wagya owosoro no mon connect na wagya owosoro no woni no connect a na ni su ne ban ni din ni su ne ban no eno no uhalo no wote ho a emma ono no na hinie emma ono no na pede emma ono na koma so asem sade ete wosoro no eba asasi so ehye wa wuwu mu wa obo mpaye no mu. So Jesus was teaching them a methodology. He was giving them prayer topics, prayer themes, and prayer format in the Our Father. So the Our Father, so that when we go to church and we liturgically pray it, the liturgy is supposed to remind us and to teach us how we ought to be praying. And so that is a corporate prayer, because the corporate worship gives us the theme, the botaya was yadikofie, di misa, which means you are sent to bring the Our Father home and translate it into your life. And Catholic men are called to be teachers of truth in our homes. Onyame frayen se yanye marima yana ye kyerɛkyerɛ no kora no ye mfie yana edi animu ene ya soro mu ene madi kanaka Hosea de no Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being a priest to me. Hosea 4:6. Go check it. Nti asafo ankyerɛkyerɛ eni yenkan na nimdie nyame mu nimdie no ɛho kom ne sukom ne ye no sa asafo no ɔyɛ asafo a ɔyɛ te ase awuo. Nti na yeku a yekɔ ne nyina no ɛyɛ welfare na ɛba amayie na yama me yie na mo yɛ de yama na we sika ɛde ma no ɛso so na me de some petty things be which are part of life, yes, but they really are not of kingdom essence. No, they are not kingdom priority. No. Ya twaba na me ya to ya na ya ntwa ma me na we ne ya to ma no na me ya bununi na we ya enzimani na we ya eveni na ya dan. Nti niama binum a enhia na anwo na yakoma na ameme yakoma na anu ni sisi ani so eno na ye define whether we should go to church or not to go to church, whether we should contribute or not to contribute, whether we should be up or not up. No, we can do better than that, and there is a better agenda for us. And my prayer is that Holy Name Society of St. Luke, we will bond together and ask the Lord to help us define a real strategic agenda for ourselves and to provide that leadership. Yeah, let us check John chapter 8, verse 31 and 32. John's Gospel, chapter 8, verse 31 and 32. Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, if you continue in my word or in my teaching, you will truly be my disciples, my students. Then you will know the truth, and the truth that's known will make you free. One ano waji Kristo adi awie no, wugidi wie a, ose se wotena masemu a, wankase se wutie o, ose se wotena mu a, that depicts continuum, something ongoing. If you stay in my word, so wotena masemu a, ubeye misiani, ti wotena mu a cha, ene wuhie ni ye ti ase ye na hunu ni ye. Then you will know. And the truth that's known, that will set you free. This obin tina Kristo nchire mu na onhunu nokra no na ya draw program na ya mpabo na ya bompaye then when you east then when you west na tamfo bia e say na kire say bro na ya bo ananso so no yekuta eurozire mo mere atrasho man ye anase yanom. What are we doing? The ayon bia e good. But because it is not founded on knowledge of the truth, it is empty and dead. It produces little or close to zero. Empty, as I said, so my last quotation, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 13. Isaiah 5:13. Quote, therefore, my people go into exile for want of knowledge. Their honored men are dying of hunger, and their multitudes are parched with thirst. I say it again, quote, therefore, my people go into exile for want of knowledge. Their honored men are dying of hunger, and their multitude is parched with thirst. Wase memman Israel kwa womu kwa nkwasumu no kwa womu kwa saa kwantu chencheni ne nama omonenam Catholics omodani Roman Catholics instead of Roman Catholics no ye chinchine na aka won omote chachire difo bia na edi achire no. It is because of want of knowledge, in other words, lack of knowledge. Nimdia omuninti no omu konkwasomase nimdia omuninti na omu chinchine no ye na software ye ntiase na ye Romania unko ba bi mpabo musora jisa chinchine kom de no omfa hen yesi eni adaje die ntia ye ni alaje no. Even God doesn't know na yankasa nko ye hunu why we are busy. We are so busy for what? And Western society is now busy for so many things. They are very, very serious. And it has become insidious and endemic. But if you sorry them now, restaurant, obedi 3 hours, no problem. Hockey, How many hours do they spend? Even before the hockey begins, how many hours do they spend before the game starts? How many hours do they spend after the game has ended? And look at the time and the money and everything and the energy invested in all of that. And yet 1 hour in church is outrageous. So humanity now and the church, our hearts are really seriously sick in terms of priorities for the Lord. Kingdom priorities. We really need a heart surgery and we need circumcision of the heart. We call it metanoia, conversion of heart. And so Isaiah is saying that my people go into exile for want of knowledge, and their honored men are dying of hunger. A merimano who bisa Catholic men, simple things about the faith they can't tell. Obikura, there are some books in the Bible that some aged and seasoned Catholic men who Bible, some books in the Bible, Christ like one tea said in Ukrada. Nti enyanum Eurade fraying, Lord, teach us to pray. Now the Eurade de achre and rain said, Ye nipa ye twiambe Eurade. Na ye do suko wampaibum, ye marimai, ye edikamfo, na ye mfa ye hun no suko. Na mpaibum suko dono, ebetu hwa, na sa hwa no, ene betu afore ye yire ne ye manom. Na sa tu fore no, ebe ma kombia de won. Na sa kom ne de be ma o mabisa se. Sire yen. Na ye de Awurade adom no ma wona, watumi asua. Awurade nhye ye de na wonka ye ho. Na yentumi ntu saa na mo no nyame ya adoma ochena ye beto aso. Na se de ebesi di wei akwakọ wura ye fie no, ochena nyame ya adoma ye be baba ebiso. Awurade nhyira mu bebre. Thank you very much.